Hey crafty people, welcome back to my channel, and in case you're new here, I'm Sarah, also known as Craft Nerd because I'm a nerd who loves to craft. I do paper crafting, card making, junk journaling, and mixed media art. Let's get crafting! Okay, the time has finally come to create the field note booklet to put all of our bits and pieces into. So I've done a little bit of prep work ahead. I took my largest piece, which is this guy, and measured it, and he is not quite 3.5 inches with this piece sticking out by 5. So I decided I want my cover to be 5.5 by 4.25. And so for my pages, I want them a little bit smaller. So I grabbed a couple pieces of coffee dyed paper and a couple pieces of coffee dyed graph paper. And actually, I cut down 2 pieces of coffee dyed graph paper and then realized I only needed 1 page. And so I cut my pages to 8 inches wide by 5.25 inches high, and then folded everybody in half. So that's the signature pages that are gonna go into our field notebook. And then for the cover, I just grabbed a piece of brown cardstock. Oh, this is fairly lightweight cardstock, but that's okay because we're going to be covering it. And it's 5.5 by 8.5. So when folded in half, we get 5.5 by 4.25. So our pages will sit inside it nicely. And we'll have space around. Now I'm going to grab, I think I've decided this is what I want for the outside. It's a gel print I did on wet strength tissue with some browns, and I kind of crinkled up the papers as I was putting them down, and so got all this lovely like faux leathery texture going on. So let me first trim this down. What we're gonna do is I decided I want this to be the front. And we're just gonna listen to dogs bark, glue this on to this. And I'm gonna use Liquitex Matte Medium, and hopefully my dog will settle down. And I'm just gonna apply a bunch to this, and I'll use my little silicone spatula. Fold our edges over so we have nice clean edges. Now for the tops, I'm gonna trim a little bit of this bulk away. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing on this side. I'm just gonna cut a little bit of the bulk away from our corners. Okay, let's fold this in half and take a look. I think this is gonna be our front, and it definitely needs a coat on this side. And of course, I now have dogs who desperately want to go out. So I'm gonna give it a quick coat, and then this thing needs to sit and dry completely before we do anything else with it. So I'm gonna get this coated, deal with some doggies, and let this dry. And actually there's one thing we can work on while this is drying. Since the inside isn't fully covered, and this is still drying obviously, I am gonna cut down another piece of this paper a little bit smaller to line the inside of this. So we're gonna just cut that down to from 5.5 to 5 1/4 by 8 1/4. And we're gonna cover this piece with another gel print. We'll fold it in half so we've at least got the crease kind of in there. But basically we're gonna do the same thing we just did using a different print. Maybe do this one for the inside. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. And instead of trimming it off in advance, I'll just go ahead and glue it down. And there's a cat outside, so my dog is losing his mind, like it's across the street mocking him. So he is thoroughly convinced I should take him out so he can chase down that cat. And if I'm not going to do that, he's going to bark at it to let it know it is not allowed to be within his eyesight. All right, I'm gonna let that one dry and possibly work on something else for here if my dog will be quiet long enough for me to do it. Because what I want to do is, I think I've got some scraps I cut off. I think I've got 1 or 2 that might be big enough for what I want. I want to put, there is a stamp by Tim Holtz that I want to put on. Let's see if I've got something that if any of these other scraps are perfectly sized. Nope, that's all right. We're gonna go with this one. We're gonna stamp this, and I think I'm gonna try and avoid stamping the date at the top so we can add our own date. Do I want to futz with that? I'm debating whether I want to pull out my Misty for this or not. You know what, better safe than sorry. Grab Versafine Clair Pine Cone. Let's stick this in the corner. And I am kind of centering it, but not exactly. Let's ink it up. And what we're gonna do is grab a piece of paper towel and kind of smudge off the year and date at the top and stamp down. Didn't quite get it completely gone, but that's all right. Okay, so I want to even this up a little bit, I think. So let's grab a little guillotine trimmer and take a smidge off that side and a hair off the top. And then that should be about right. That works. And then I'm going to add some brads in our corners. think these might be Tim Holtz brads. I'm not 100% sure. I'm gonna grab a teeny tiny hole punch. We're gonna punch a hole in each of the corners. And stick in our little brads. These holes, oh, nope, there we go. And I'm gonna grab the Tim Holtz texture hammer and so now they've got some texture. Instead of being smooth, they're all kind of like beaten up. Gonna ink our edges. I'm trying to decide if I want to tatter the edges a little bit. I feel like I kind of do. So I'm gonna grab the Heidi Swap Edge Distressor. I know Tim Holtz has one, and if you don't have one, you can just open up your scissors and use the inside of your scissors to do this, but this has the little blade in a spot where it's less likely to cause me to cut myself than if I use the scissors. So that's why I use it. I'm actually going to add some crinkles into it. Probably should have done all this before I added the brads. It would have been a little easier, but it's too late now. The brads are in. Technically, I could probably still take them out, but yeah. All right, grabbing some scorched timber, and I'm gonna ink along our crease lines just to make it look like this is a well-worn and used book when we put this on the cover. Like it's been banging around in the field and gotten grunged up a fair bit. All right, so that's gonna go on our cover when it's dry, which it's still drying, because yeah, still a little tacky, but this will go on like so, and we can add some more embellishing if we would like. I'm gonna leave this, and once everything's all dry, we'll come back and do the final assembly. Okay, so our pieces are dry, so we are gonna go ahead and glue them together. I'm just gonna use art glitter glue. You can of course use whatever glue you like. Reinforce our crease here. That is not wanting to stick. Come on. A bit more glue on this side. This is not wanting to cooperate tonight for some reason. All right, and I've got, I think I went through this already, but I don't remember since it's been a few days since I started this video. I've got some coffee dyed cardstock and graph paper that I put together, and I think it's a page of the graph paper and a page and a half of the coffee dyed paper cut down to size. And I am just gonna grab my stapler, which I got one of those staplers that turns out like this, so that I can staple in the middle. And actually I want to have the staples, the tines on the inside. So we're gonna go about yay far down. Hopefully I'm centered properly, and staple. Pretty good. And then this way, so those are on the inside. There is our booklet. And so now we got to do a little bit of decorating. So I've got the little label that I stamped to go on the front. And I think, first off, I'm looking at this and I feel like I want to grungy it a little bit. So let's grab our dauber, some scorched timber, and we'll see if we can get a little bit of grunginess going on. Next, I think I'm gonna grab some cheesecloth to go behind our field label. So I've got some, I think this is tea-dyed cheesecloth. Put some of that behind our piece. For this, I am going to use my Fabri-Tac. That down for a sec. I think I'm going to grab one of my stamped Bitsy Bobsy things. These are, is it Curator by Tim Holtz? I want a circle one. Just going to glue that on there. I think that's good for our cover. Now we've got to put our bits and bobs that we have been making inside. I think I want to do it so that we've got piece and then notebook paper so that you could write your observations about, you know, our blue mushrooms. Oh, I should have put a piece in the middle. All right, let me see. Got 6, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so let's go. We'll stick our little dragon guy here. Should have inked edges before I glued this down. I'm realizing as I'm doing it. And then let's see. There. There. So let's do that one. That one. And then if I had the piece there, they could go there. So instead we'll go here. Here, and actually I think we're going to switch those around. All right, so that's our placement. So it's going to leave some space in the piece for additional decorating or plenty of journaling space. Of course, I probably should have put them in order of the date that I stamped them with. Whoopsie, too late now. All right, so we've got that one, that one, that one, that guy, that one, and that one. I need to go let a dog out because he's being all antsy-pantsy. And of course, we need my signature and a date on this. And so this is Tim Holtz Sizzix. It's the vintage label die that you can ink up and then die cut, and it puts the ink lines on it. And this was done using Versamagic Spanish Olive. I think it's a little too white, so I'm gonna grab a scratch piece of paper and a brush and some tea dye sitting on my desk. And then I am going to grab my date stamp that I've been using and my foam pad, because it just makes it easier to stamp. And we are up to day 9. And let's grab some Versafine Clair. And again, we are gonna judiciously ink our stamp so that because it's the year on it is 2025, but I don't want that to be the year for our project. I'm gonna put that on and then grab my pen and add in the '18, not very well, and my signature, very messy, and that will add on the back here. And I want to grab one more thing. See some faux antique tape, so it looks like we taped it in. Uh-oh. That piece of tape's not quite long enough. Let's grab another piece. There we go. All right, so project number 9, which kind of combines projects 1 through 8 all together for Ceri the Crafter's Mixed Media March 25 challenge. There's one more piece to this before it is completely done. I want to create an envelope that we can stick our slides in, and maybe we'll attach it on this page. So tomorrow we are going to create an envelope to stick the slides in. And then our little field notebook will be completely finished. So there's one more video in this kind of project, and then we will move on to some other projects involving gel printing. So that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please do all the things that lets YouTube know you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave me a comment down below. Thanks for joining me, and happy crafting.